It's not personal opinion. This is backed by data, and the old saying rings true, right? Land appreciates, the buildings depreciate. And it just makes common sense. I've definitely seen charts, and I've heard spruikers and people out there talking about, house prices have really rocketed off and units have stayed stable over the last decade or two, and there's now a gap, so now that units have got to come back to the mean. Well, they don't have to, right? Units don't have to. And remember, all markets are different. In some markets they might, in some markets they might not. And generally the reason why they might not come back and catch up to houses is because there is just far less scarcity around supply. You buy a unit and it might be in a nice walk-up apartment. You might be able to think, well, hang on, I can't afford a house in the area. I'm going to buy a unit in a small block, maybe an 8 or 12 pack. And that's the way that you're trying to limit this new supply risk that might come into the market. Well, there's nothing to say that they're not going to change the zoning, and suddenly next door there's now a 100-unit development or a 200-unit development. And guess what? They are all new. And they're all generally flooding the market at around the same time. And now you have incredible vacancy rates. And I've seen it myself with my own eyes. You have a very, very second-hand product because you've tried to get something that's older with more scarcity, a smaller block. And compared to the newer stuff that's sitting there vacant with desperate vendors, you are in a real bind. There's always exceptions to rules, but anytime you have higher density housing, it's just you have a higher risk of far more higher density housing coming in. So anytime you have higher density housing, you have less control over supply, and that applies to units, villas, townhouses. They're all in the same department to differing degrees. For me, let's just get really good at buying homes with large land components in comparison to the property overall. We don't want small blocks, we want the land, and we want to buy that in areas with very strong scarcity drivers. And if you can't afford an area with those drivers, we don't change strategy, we go to another area and apply that strategy to that area. Because there are always suburbs, capitals, regionals that are in our buying window, where the data is looking outstanding from a Ripehouse perspective, but we can't force our location preferences onto the strategy. We have to let our budget dictate the areas that we are focusing on, but that area has to conform to all that we would require from it and the capital growth fundamentals of the area.